AM 1600 KIVA, ABQ.FM on the app, rockoftalk.com on your computer, and now rockoftalk.tv. Well, that's anywhere you want, but we're on Roku, Amazon Fire, and soon to be Apple Plus. I'm here with my two favorite people, Tego and Tracy Venturi, the Venturi Real Estate Group from Keller Williams Realty. You can pick up the phone and dial them directly, 448-8888. That's 448-8888, or visit them directly at welcomehomeabq.com. That's welcomehomeabq.com. And, of course, Tego is always on top of the market with his Statomatic. And Tracy, turning over more deals than you even know what to do with. Tego, Tracy, good Thursday morning to the two of you.
Favorite people. I like the wow, Eddie. I mean, that's with the all the people and influence. That's we'll take that. That's pretty darn good. I got to tell you, we just put a house under contract this week. One of your listeners, so glad that we support the Kiva. I want us to continue to support the Kiva. Unfortunately, they're moving, but I just wanted to
out of state.
They're moving out of state. It's.
But they can still listen all the time. They can
still listen, right? Because you're worldwide. You're universe-wide.
Yeah. That's okay, too. We want people to be happy wherever they can find happiness and wherever life might take them. We wish them well, and we hope that they come back. We always wish people, good day and good luck. Buenos dias, buenos suerte, and we want them to come back to the best state in the entire country. It just doesn't feel like that right now, but you guys are consistently trying to do it. 2020 was a banner year. We got to our stats. We're about to wrap up some of that information now. And Tego, I didn't take a look at the show notes before we started. I wasn't sure if you did. Did you happen to send them to me?
I probably forgot.
Okay, no worries, because we know that we always have our Statomatic. We've got our stats. Yeah. We've got our new homes of the week. Tracy, of course, talks about the open houses that we have, and always the remarkable insight that you get from two of the best real estate people in the country, as recognized by Keller Williams and the top ones here in the state of New Mexico. Tego and Tracy, take it away.
Thanks, Eddie. So let's just go through. So we want to talk about, if you're buying in this market, what do you need to be thinking about? How do you become a ready, willing, competitive buyer in this market? Because you have to be competitive as a buyer, right, Tracy? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the difference between an appraisal and a home inspection. I want to hit on House Bill 111 just shortly. It has to do with tenant rights, as well as landlord and some issues there. But Tracy, you wanted to talk about this whole thing with the stock market that's happened this week in the craziness in the stock market. This whole GameStop, what is it called?
Now you've got me confused.
I know.
So you want me to jump right into that?
Yeah. Well, and one last thing, Tracy, I keep getting questions. In fact, I was at a doctor appointment, and she said, "Oh yeah, tell me, why can't I find a home?" She's looking for a home. She can't find a home. She's like, "Why is the market so short of homes for sale? I don't understand." So I want to go through that for people so they kind of understand how we got to this point. And if you're not aware, we are at, as of the moment, we're at 840 homes on the market in the greater Albuquerque area. That's kind of the metro area. That could easily be 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 homes right now, but we're not there.
Right.
And so there is a shortage of homes on the market without a doubt. But let's talk about this whole thing, real estate versus the housing market.
So this week, many of you have probably seen the headlines with the whole issue in the stock market where GameStop and a few other stocks were manipulated to harm some hedge funds and people who short and do options and short stocks. Very, very big hedge funds and some big investors. And, it's interesting to me because I'm watching that going, I really know real estate. I know the value of real estate, and I know people need to live somewhere. I know the stock market a bit. I know how options work, and I follow and I invest in the market. But it just really hit me how volatile it can be when you're investing in the stock market versus real estate, what an opportunity. People go, well, the market's gone up X% in the last year. Do I really want to be a home buyer? And I'm like, well, but if you look at historical 30 years back, 50 years back, housing is very stable compared to the stock market.
Well, even when you take into account that period from 2008 to, let's say, 2011, 12, right, where we had the big correction in housing. But if you actually take the line out, it's still
3% a year.
Yeah, 4% a year, over time. And that was if you look at like the chart for the stock, or let's say the S&P, right? You get all these ups and downs, all these up and downs through the years. Obviously, again, over time, it evens out. But the housing market is much more steady, except for that one anomaly,
right?
Which I don't see ever happening again. There was a lot of things that corrected the things that caused that back then.
Right.
You never say never, but my point is
so the thing is, we watch CNBC in the morning, and we see they always have some analyst from some big company, right, say, hey, we're upgrading this stock, although they don't do that so much there. But they say, so-and-so, the stock got upgraded today by somebody. Yeah. And we know that a lot of across the country, people are calling people saying, hey, this stock's being upgraded, you should get in, right? And it's just, we know that it's all can be manipulated very quickly. And the housing market really isn't similar to that. It just seemed like such a pressing story this week with the whole Reddit thing and GameStop and what happened. And it just made me go, boy, I sure am glad I've got a lot of things invested in real estate. We're real estate investors, as well as we own a home and we live in the home, and it's done well for wealth building over time.
It's the old saying, Tracy, it's diversify, right? If you're in the stock market, obviously you want to diversify, right? You want to have some bonds, some stocks, some mutual funds, the whole thing there. Right. Maybe. Right. But again, but I think part of a good long-term strategy is diversifying into other type of assets, like real estate, like gold, like, so many other things. But, educate yourself.
So to follow up on that, the rental market here there's a shortage of homes for rent.
And homes for sale. It's everywhere.
So if somebody wanted to invest in real estate, we know there are people waiting to rent that house, right? Whether it's a fourplex or a single family home or a apartment building, there's very high demand.
Absolutely. Tracy, we have a few rentals, and we put one on the market here in Rio Rancho a month or so ago. And I can't tell you, the phone just went insane. First day it came on the market for rent, and it was at a relatively high price. And because it was a upper tier home, the demand was amazing for rental properties. It's just like demand for homes right now.
Right.
For sale, for purchase.
So the topic that you wanted to talk about, how to be a ready buyer in this market, right?
Really, really critical. And we've been talking with our team, other agents, but mainly with our team, and making sure that buyers have the expectation of what this current market is like, because it's really unlike any other market we've seen in the sense that it's super competitive. When homes come on the market that are fit for a lot of people, not every home is selling, no doubt.
Right.
Still got to be priced properly, right?
For the condition and location.
Exactly.
Yep, it's got to be priced right.
But what happens is, if it's a good home in a good area with, and it's priced, quote, to the market, what do buyers need to be thinking about so that they're ready to go and their offer is competitive? Because, we've had some that had 20 offers in the first day on the market.
Right. Well, we put one on the market today. I think it's had 20 showings already.
Yeah.
200,000 house.
So we'll have, multiple offers. So
what's going to set aside who's going to be the one selected by the seller to buy that home?
Yeah, that's the question. Yeah. What does that buyer need to have in place to make sure, other than having a real estate agent, and this is critical, that's helping them put that offer together, that understands what this market is like? I've heard some stories recently of offers that come in and you're going, what offer are you writing this market for?
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I keep talking. I keep asking you a question. I keep talking, but I got to tell you this story. I heard this the other day. Super competitive. somebody received an offer on a property, right? It was one of those, 200,000, 250, real competitive, knew there was going to be multiple offers, or actually this agent knew there were going to be multiple offers. But they wrote this offer like they were writing it in 2010 when it was a buyer's market, not a seller's market.
Right.
And they put all these expenses on the seller. They didn't, it was just weird. It's like, hold on, the real estate agents should know that are doing business in this market. They gotta talk to their buyers about this if they want to be competitive.
For sure. And also we do what our buyers want, so we can educate them. And then we sometimes write things that we know are not how you're going to be the person that gets to purchase that home. Right. But I think, having a realtor who is familiar with what's going to be important to the seller. And honestly, Tego, one of the most important things that we find in what we train the team is have a lot of communication with the other realtor, because we need to find out what's important to the seller, right? If I have a buyer who can do a different closing date, they don't have to have the house by a certain date, right?
Right.
If I don't call the other realtor and find out what the seller prefers, when would they like to close? When do they need to move? I might pick a date that puts me out of the running, right? So that communication with the realtor representing the seller is exceptionally important. But there's lots of different things, that we do to write a compelling offer, but we do need the buyer to be ready, right?
So what are those things the buyer needs to do?
So they need to be working with a good local lender. These days, online lenders have gotten so good these days, but an online lender is not going to wow the seller or the seller's realtor, right? They want somebody that lives here, has a reputation here. And if they mess up the loan, other realtors know about it. And, they have a reputation, right? So a good local lender. And then a lender letter that goes with their offer that shows that their credit has already been pulled, their verification of employment, their taxes have already been submitted. They've already done all the legwork on the loan to make sure that this person really qualifies.
Can make a side note on that, because there's the pre-qualification letter or the pre-approved letter, right? In
pre-qualification means they told me these things.
Yeah.
And if they're all true, they probably qualify for that house.
Right. We're pre-approved, and that's not always true.
It depends on the letter.
I've seen letters that say pre-approved, and then you read the detail, and it's well, we haven't pulled their credit yet. We haven't looked at their employment history and this and that, right? So you want to get again one of those letters where if you're the buyer, you're actually made the application. You've already
submitted
had them pull your credit.
documentation.
You've already submitted some of the very basic documentation, like your income, your proof of income, that type of stuff, job history, and so on, right?
Right. So getting pre-approved versus pre-qualified is pretty important. And then obviously the type of loan is very important.
Yep.
If you need down payment assistance and somebody else doesn't, they're probably going to choose the somebody else, right?
Yeah.
The time it takes you to get your loan. So some loans notoriously take 45 to 60 days, where some others could close in 30 days. And it just kind of depends on what the seller's interested in and how that works. So
give us just like maybe one or two of those little tricks. We don't want to share all our secrets, but give us a couple tricks that maybe a buyer could offer to the seller to make their offer stand out.
Well,
other than the price, right?
Other than price. Yeah. So an escalation clause on the price. So if you're willing to pay more for it, make sure you put that down, right? Make sure you put it out there, because if the other seller or the seller's agent doesn't know that you're willing to compete at a price higher than you offer, you may not be given the opportunity. Some of the things, just who pays for what. It's typical in our market, kind of who pays for what. There's title cheat sheets that show who typically pays. So sometimes offering to pay some of the things that a seller might. Honestly, I think you get more bang for your buck by giving a higher price and keeping the who pays for what the same, because
the customary,
the psychological of the value and what you're offering as a higher price, I think gets the attention of people more than what the net might be sometimes. And then lots of other things, but just making sure you write.
We've got a whole bag of tricks, that we've deployed over the years.
Well, we
and
talk about it regularly. What are we seeing? We're asking our lenders, what
Yeah.
are you seeing come through on contracts that you think made the difference, right?
Right.
And again, I think a lot of it is just communication with the other agent and making sure that they want to work with you and that they know that you have a good reputation. So
no, I think
2021 stats, Tego?
Yeah, well, I can do this really quick.
Let's talk
2021. It's really busy.
okay.
Yeah, January pending sales. I don't have the final numbers for January yet, but we're going to be somewhere around 20% increase in the number of closed sales this January versus last January, which is crazy because inventory is like half of what we had last year.
So you said that so fast. So 20% more closings this January over last January.
Correct.
And so obviously that means that of the homes that are for sale, they're selling at a faster pace.
Correct.
But we still obviously have enough houses to sell 20% more houses.
Yeah, I don't have the days on market stats yet. However, for December, we saw like 5 days on market was the median days on market. I suspect it to be very similar. So good homes that come on the market are selling immediately.
Right.
Right. Pending sales are up versus last year. And the interesting thing is, it's not interesting. It's actually not good. Is that we've had less homes come on the market this January versus last January. So we're kind of going the wrong direction here. More sales.
You're talking so fast.
I know. We've got so much to cover. We've got more sales, less homes coming on the market. We're going in the wrong direction. And I just want to add one more thing about just kind of the market of today, the market of now, is interest rates. We did see some move up in interest rates, mortgage-backed securities, and I'm sure Chris will get into this, Chris Napier, but mortgage-backed securities did go down. I think it's down. That pushes interest rates up. So we have seen a move in interest rates. And I'm going to say something that's maybe a little controversial, but I personally, as a amateur housing economist, I'd like to see interest rates go up. I'd like to see the market slow down a little bit because I'm a little concerned that we're just going up in price too fast, too quickly.
Across the country, not just Albuquerque.
That was the same thing. But
yeah,
but the point is a little bump up in interest rates. So I follow all the housing economists on Twitter, and that's kind of been the conversation here in the last, couple, 3 weeks, is that everybody would like to see interest rates actually go up a little bit, if you can believe it. So take advantage of them now if you can find a house.
That's right. So Tego, let's talk about House Bill 111 that we've spent some time on this week. So there's a House Bill 111 that's and
I told Eddie, or not told Eddie, I asked Eddie to take a look at it with Dowd so that they can dig into it. It's really more their kind of thing, what they do in the afternoon show during the week. But HB 111 is, let me pull it up here.
It basically is making changes to the residential rental rules. So in our opinion of reviewing the bill and all of the subtleties of what they're changing, it's making it really hard for homeowners and landlords as landlords.
Yeah, and I think, I won't go into the detail because there's too many details, but I think the outcome in the long run is the same thing. It's like the unintended consequences. They're trying to make it easier for tenants to stay in their home longer if they've got issues and they can't pay. I mean, all that stuff's in place, right? The eviction process is good right now. If it has to happen, it takes a while.
Right.
I mean, it takes a while right now if somebody's not paying. My concern is this bill is going to hurt the people on the margins. It's going to hurt the people that are, let's say lower income, have maybe some bad credit history. They have maybe some late pays, because it's going to make it so much harder for landlords to get people out of a property that have broken their lease, basically not made their payment, or some other issue that is a violation of their lease. It's going to make it a much longer process. And so what's going to happen is now landlords are going to go, well, I'm going to be much more strict on
who I rent to.
And that's my concern about this bill. And so now the people that are at the, like, let's just say the lower tier, they're going to have a lot, even less choices of properties to rent, which it's already tough right now. On the other end, it's not going to hurt the big corporate, tenant type companies. And I mean,
like a big apartment complex that's nationally owned.
Yeah, that are owned by one of these national consortiums that own, millions of properties all over the country. Even the larger apartment complexes and stuff, they're going to be fine, right? They can absorb it. But the reality is in New Mexico, we have a lot of mom and pop landlords, a lot.
And when they don't get paid,
and when they
have to pay their mortgage.
Right. And so I'm really concerned that it's going to have the exact opposite effect on what they're trying to do. And so that's the quick on HB 111. Take a look at it. HB 111, you can just Google it and for New Mexico legislature, and you'll find it.
Okay. So what's the difference between an appraisal and a home inspection?
Great question, Tracy. So an appraisal is something that happens after a home goes under contract. So buyer says, okay, I want to buy this home. I'm going to pay this much money for it, and I'm going to go get a loan. So the bank hires an appraiser to come out and look at the property and compare it to other homes that have sold, right? That's usually the
looking backward.
Yeah, the comparison method. They look backward and see, okay, what have homes sold for? Okay, is the bank making a good investment by loaning this person this much money for this property? So it's not really that's the people always get mixed up, is it doesn't establish value. It justifies the value that the buyer is willing to pay to the bank.
Right. So we're basically, the appraiser is being the eyes and ears of the bank, who doesn't go out to the house to make sure, yes, this is a house that's of the quality that we want to lend this much money on.
Right.
So the appraiser is really just making sure for the bank that they're making a good loan.
Well, something that happens that confuses people a lot of times you'll hear lenders or people in the lending side of the business say, yes, the appraisal inspection is on Tuesday. Well, they call it an inspection, but it's not the true like home inspection, which I'm going to ask you about in a second. It means that the appraiser's coming out, they're going to look at the home. Now they are checking that, the basics are there, right? You've got hot and cold running water. You've got heat.
A stove.
You've got a stove.
You don't have to have cooling.
It's got a roof that doesn't, not falling in. They want to make sure that the general condition of the home is good. It doesn't have to be perfect, but different lending standards have different things. So like a VA loan is much more strict on the condition of the property than, let's say, a conventional loan. So that's the appraiser part. So Tracy, what is a inspection in the sense that we talk about it, a home inspection?
Right. So home inspection is an inspector who comes in and turns on every faucet, turns on the, checks all the electrical outlets, open and closes windows, checks the roof, checks the foundation, kind of walks from room to room and checks everything from nuts to bolts, right? From roof to foundation to drainage. And they provide a written report, but that's, very different than what an appraiser does. An appraiser doesn't check everything to make sure it works. They just have a few bullet points.
So when you get a full, let me ask this, because I've heard this before, this term, when you get a full home inspection, is there like a pass fail?
There is not.
Yes.
There is no pass fail. So once you get the home inspection, typically in our market, you have the opportunity to ask the seller to make some repairs. And that's your second negotiation, right? The first negotiation is getting the house under contract.
Right.
The second negotiation might be repairs. And typically it's mechanical, structural, danger, safety kind of things.
Warrantable is a word I use a lot. It's like, is it something in the home that can be warrantable? And those are the type of things that a buyer may ask a seller to fix. Now, in this market, you may have to waive that to get the home because it's so competitive. There's buyers out there willing to waive doing any inspection, or
doing any repairs,
requesting for any repairs.
Right.
They may be willing to take them on themselves.
They might be willing to get their offer accepted, waive any repair requests down the road.
And I want to make a caveat to that is I would never, ever recommend that somebody get or waive a home inspection. You can always get the home inspection. It's part of our contracts. You never want to say, well, I want to get the home, so I'm going to waive home inspections. No, get the home inspections. Just make it clear that you're not going to be nitpicky about the repairs if you're comfortable about it, if you want to be competitive.
There's a lot of really handy people out there. And, when we work with them and they say, I can fix anything, I can fix that, or I have the money if something comes up on the home inspection, I can take care of it. But then there are people who don't. Every penny they have, they're going to be putting in their down payment and getting in that house. And for them, getting a home warranty on top of their purchase, or having the ability to ask for the repairs for the major things can be pretty important.
Yeah, no, for sure, Tracy.
Yeah. You want to?
Yeah, I wanted you to do homes of the week.
Great.
If you've got time to go into that.
Sure. So, we have 2 that came on the market right this week that are going to have open houses this weekend. One is in Ventana Ranch, and it's on Banyan, and it's $200,000, and it will be available.
I think it's going to be sold by the end of the day.
Well, the owner has instructed us to not present offers till Monday.
Okay.
So there will be an open house. We also have Fort Point Lane, $220,000. It's a townhome, and it's a really Presidio neighborhood. It's a really
great little
neighborhood. It's like Chico and Eubank. It's right by the Costco, just south of I-40.
I don't remember now. So anyway, but it's just south of the
freeway. Costco is off Eubank, right? Yeah. So it's right there. It's a little gated neighborhood, very new.
By Copper Point Church.
Yeah, there we go. 220. It will also be open Saturday and Sunday from 12 to 2. And then we have another home coming soon in Santa Fe at 10 Camino Botanica, 580,000 in Aldea community. It's just under 2,000 square feet. And if you're familiar with that Aldea community, it's a really beautiful neighborhood with all sorts of amenities nearby. So it's a good one. But you can call us, 448-8888, find out other homes that we might have in that coming soon stage, and let us know what you're looking for, and we can start watching for you.
In the last few minutes that we have here, Tracy, I want to cover this idea of why do we have such a shortage of homes on the market? Like I said, my doctor or chiropractor that I went to the other day, she was like, well, why don't we have any homes on the market? I said, well, it's a confluence of events.
Right.
It's not just the pandemic, for sure. I mean, the pandemic has affected it, but that's not the reason. I mean, even, go back to our radio show this time last year, we were already talking about this. Is
not
pre-pandemic.
Enough homes.
There's not enough homes. We're not going to have enough homes on the market. It was already coming, right? It was already a thing. It wasn't just like the pandemic created it. So the other thing that happened is from 2010 until, let's say, really, I'm looking at the chart here, kicked in somewhere around maybe 2017. We're kind of calling it the lost decade of home building. What happened is after the recession of 8-9, the home builders just turned off. They stopped building homes.
They didn't just start home starts. They waited for the buyer to pick the floor plan and build it. So they weren't just deciding, well, let's put 20. Let's start 20 houses today in this neighborhood, right? Without buyers in place.
So what's happened, and I'm looking at the local chart, but this is a national phenomenon where we just, builders have been much more conservative over the last 10 years in putting homes up. And so what that's created is a shortage of homes. This is something that, Lawrence Hune, who's the chief economist at NAR, National Association of Realtors, he's been talking about this for 5 years.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't something that just happened this year. It just kind of all came together.
So to kind of encapsulate it, so we didn't have enough new homes being built every year for about 10 years to keep up with what we need today.
Yeah.
And so really it was that lost decade, 10 years of home builders being very careful and not building, and it caused a huge shortage.
And the reality is they're still not building. I mean, I shouldn't say that. They're being much more conservative. They're not just going out and saying, okay, let's build 100 homes because we know we'll sell them. No.
Although
there's some of that going on.
There's some great new homes going in our market. So if
true.
Anybody's looking for a new home, we have some great builders that we work with that do have homes that'll be ready in February and March and April that we could get you into.
There's one more point I want to make on this, Eddie, if we have a second, is on, again, this whole idea of demand. This has been coming on for years. Again, it's not just because of the pandemic. There's that cohort of millennials, right, that are just now starting this year through 2024, 2025. They are going to be, they're hitting their prime home buying age, right? And that whole millennial generation is huge. It's larger than us. It's larger than us boomers. Okay, boomer? Okay, boomer.
Careful.
Bigger than the X's, Eddie. Sorry. But anyway, so
I don't identify with any generation.
You're all over the place.
Most of the time when I am talking to people, it's funny. Whatever this Gen Z is, I now get along with them probably as good as any of them. It's pretty incredible. I think one of the places where there is a remarkable amount of home building is Queen Creek, Arizona. If you drive through community after community, I think all the wood in the country might be in Queen Creek right now. It's pretty incredible what they're doing and how much they sell homes for out there. And so I think, population, we just had our census, population, and those, as I refer to them, pops really drive everything. They're not going to get hamstrung again because, if you think about those home stocks like Toll Brothers and all the various ones back in 2005, 2006, 2007, I was in real estate at the time, and I can tell you, they didn't recover until 2016, 2017.
Exactly.
Well, have you seen what D.R. Horton's done in the last month or so? It's just crazy in the stock price. It's we've got the market overvalued 190%, but it's kind of crazy right now. But hey, where you can put your money, right in a nice home, and all you have to do is pick up the phone and dial direct. My good friends Tego and Tracy Venturi Real Estate Group from Keller Williams Realty. Pick up the phone and dial them directly, 448-8888. That's 448-8888, or welcomehomeabq.com. That's welcomehomeabq.com. Thank you for those of you who joined us live on rockoftalk.tv and Rock of Talk TV on Roku and Amazon Fire, soon to be Apple Plus as well. So very excited about all of that. There's so many good things that are in store, and we had a record number. First time we were over 450 listeners online, and then the number of people who were listening to us there. Big exciting news to tell everybody about next week. We'll be serving other markets here in the state of New Mexico, and we'll tell you about that on Tego and Tracy's show next week. Thanks everybody for listening right here in the Kia. AM 1600 KIVA, ABQ.FM on the app, and rockoftalk.tv. Back after a quick break.